partnership meta-businesses? What about local businesses working together to buy things jointly and thereby bringing down the costs of their business? You know, for example, that True Value hardware stores compete successfully against Home Depot. True Value hardware stores are locally owned hardware stores, but they are part of a national producer cooperative that, just like Home Depot, goes around the planet looking for good deals, buys in bulk, and delivers those savings to the member stores. We just need more of these kinds of arrangements in other kinds of categories of business. Tucson Originals is a collection of local businesses in Tucson, Arizona, food businesses that collectively buy food stuff together, and kitchen equipment, and dishes, and thereby bring down their costs of production. In Washington, D.C., the local Bali network buys green power collectively for the member businesses and brings down the costs. Local shopping malls. Shopping malls have kind of leave us with a queasy feeling, because most shopping malls have been destructive of downtown and represent, big box nightmares. But the truth of the matter is that right now, a lot of these chain stores are going into bankruptcy and are not going to be with us in the next year. And many of the malls that rested on these chain stores are going to be in danger of getting mothballed. I see this as a great opportunity, because local businesses can start to move into these places, and we can create critical masses of local businesses, great local business destinations, just like the picture I have here of Pike's Market in Seattle. Local delivery systems. This is the People's Grocery in Oakland, California, that delivers to your home fresh fruits and vegetables from local farmers. Now, I would like this truck to start delivering diapers. I was home about a year ago with my 2 kids alone. My daughter was still in diapers, and at about 10 o'clock at night, I discovered that I was a man without diapers. I would have paid this trucking company $100 to bring me 1 diaper. Now, I don't think I'm alone. Single parents, people who are disabled, people who are too old to go out at night. What a great market for local delivery. And this is where local businesses can really begin to get a competitive advantage over cookie-cutter box stores or distant mail-order businesses. Amazon, for example, says they'll get you a book in 24 hours. You need this truck to be able to get you the book from the local bookstore in 24 minutes. What about investment meta-businesses? Well, we know how to create credit unions in a profitable way. What about creating more of them to make up for the global banks going under? Community loan funds. Now, there are a bunch of community loan funds in this state, including the one that's sponsoring this event, but we're going to need more of them. They can only touch a fraction of the available business opportunities. And in an era of depleted credit, I think we need to be much more creative about creating our own credit. And a great example of this comes from Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Not from Joe the plumber, but from Frank the deli owner. This is a story that happened about 15 years ago. Frank lost his lease to his deli. He needed several tens of thousands of dollars to get a new lease. And his kid had cancer, so he had no financial resources. So working with the E.F. Schumacher Society, they designed what were called deli dollars. This little note here. And the idea was you'd get $9 today for $10 of food from Frank in 6, 9, or 12 months. So, it was different bond rates, but they had fairly significant payoffs. Well, these things not only were bought up immediately, Now, you can't do this at the last minute. There are many valuable companies here that are going to go on the sale block at some point, and you want a fund in place preventatively so that you can respond to this and keep those businesses in the state when that happens. Now, a critical piece of this whole idea is local stock. By local stock, I mean stock, ownership certificates, equity certificates in companies that are bought within the state and only traded within the state. And an example of local stock is the Ben & Jerry's company. The first issue of Ben & Jerry's, you had to be a resident of Vermont to buy the shares. Now, unfortunately, in subsequent issues of Ben & Jerry's stock, they let go of that criterion and enabled the company to be hostily taken over by Unilever. If you start with local stock, you got to continue with it. And here, I think, is a happier story. This is of the Merck in Powell, Wyoming. Powell, Wyoming is a small community in the Rocky Mountains. So small they couldn't attract a general store like from Target or Kmart, a place where they could buy their socks and their underwear. So they decided, you know what, we're going to build our own general store. We need about $1 million to do it. So they decided to actually create their own local stock issue and sold the stock like Girl Scout cookies door to door. Got the thing capitalized. This thing was profitable from year one and has been profitable ever since. It has been the model of a half dozen other local stock general stores in the Rocky Mountain states and a few others that are trying to get up and running in New England. Now, once we get a critical mass of local stocks happening, maybe we want to create a local stock exchange. How about a Vermont stock exchange, 2010? It doesn't have to be a brick and mortar institution. It can be an internet-based institution. You can go online now and find examples of like prosper.com or kiva.org, examples of where we do internet offerings and buyings of small-scale debt. But what about moving into small-scale equity? Technologically, we know how to do it, but legally, the SEC is not so happy with this.